We're going to record our Zoom. Perfect. And Coach Nar is also here. Perfect.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning. How are you?
This app is pretty vulnerable. You got to be ready once you're in, like a phone call.
Yeah, when you're on, you're on. There's
When you're
there's no
on.
in between. So you actually hopped on at like the perfect time, and I'm hoping that you know what. Let me unplug this because I know that the mic for the computer is plugged into the. Where is it? Go. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna boost this all the way up so that the computer picks it up. Okay, cool. Zoom's already recording right now, and
Nice, very nice.
I'm gonna, if you want, I'm gonna also send you a link to the Zoom.
Oh hell no! You have to tell me that
Okay.
ahead of time.
Never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
I have my morning face on. I have my morning face on.
Well, I
So
don't
I
even
don't
want to try to do it right
excuse it.
now because I don't want to like mess up the technology part of it just because of my Neanderthal ways. And so you
But
just came in.
for further reference, for
Uh,
future reference, I'm down to do it collaboratively on Zoom as well.
okay.
We'll just get, we'll get that going soon
Sure.
enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds good. So you actually came in like right before I was about to jump into it. We have wealth covered, obviously financially, but there are, and this is one of the main reasons why I also wanted to bring you on here as well, is because of the fact that through your coaching, you address other areas of somebody's wealth, the state of their wealth. And so whether it's intellectual wealth, spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, physical wealth, and or financial wealth, human beings are holistic creatures, right? So you can't really address one area without addressing the other areas of their lives. And it's very interesting because the description for today's events is, having wealth now and forever. How do you put yourself in a situation where you can manifest it early on, you can manifest it quickly, but then you also get to keep it. You get to hold on to it, which I think is one of the bigger challenges for most people. Because if you really think about it, they have no problem making money. If you make $50,000 a year, in 10 years, that's half a million. In 20 years, that's $1 million that you generated. And if you generated $1 million and you haven't been able to hold on to any of it, there's probably some things that need to be addressed internally with your habits, with your belief systems around money, with the way that you just view money in general and what you think it's for. And I mean, there's this like great story. Tony Robbins shared the story all the time, where there's a gentleman. He was like a facilities worker. He wasn't really this like big income earner, and he made like something around $25,000 a year. And all he did was he just saved 20% of that income and put it inside a mutual fund. And the mutual fund was just directly invested into the market. And really, that's all he did. And he did it perpetually, consistently for something like 20 years, 30 years. And after those 30 years, he was a millionaire. And so it really begs the question, and your mic is unmuted, Miss Narnia. Thank you.
Sorry about
We're hearing all your background noise. Um, it begs the question: why don't more people do this? Why don't more people get a hold of their financial future? Why don't they get control over their own self and their own finances? So that's kind of where the topic of Wednesday, Wealth Wednesdays came from. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring you on here. So before I dive into all of the financial aspects of it and the different things that you can do to generate financial wealth, I wanted to give you the floor for a minute and have you speak to us a little bit about the importance of your emotions and your spirit and your intellect and everything else just being in check so that you can make the proper moves financially.
Well, I feel that's the foundation of all of your moves should be to balance your spiritual and mental, emotional well-being. Of course, physical too. That definitely is, your foundation also for your physical is so important because what mental and what emotional if you're not going to be healthy physically, So
Mhm.
all of those are definitely very important. They go hand in hand with one another in order for you to be able to develop good financial health as well.
Yeah.
So if you have any limiting beliefs
You cut
in
out.
money,
You cut out. If you have any
oh,
limiting beliefs.
sorry, if you have any limiting beliefs about money,
Hmm.
um, that's one of the things that, you have to figure out what else it's limiting to. It's not just about the money. So what else is that limiting belief hindering?
Yeah.
So definitely it helps to dive in, dismantle everything that you think you know about yourself, and everything that you think you know about money, especially because we are misled. We are misled. That's like the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What do you mean that we're misled?
Okay, from the beginning, we're misled. We're misled by our parents who have no idea how money works. We're misled by the education system that doesn't teach us about how money works because we don't need to necessarily know if we're working in a factory how money works. So the foundations that we should start off on learning about money is poor. We
Yeah.
don't have good examples.
That's absolutely true. I really believe that we live in a buyer's economy. So the U.S. economy is more of a consumption economy. We do have a lot of export, of course. We do have a lot of stuff that we create and we sell as well, of course. But it's more so a buyer's economy and it's a consumer's economy. So everything that's promoted to us, everything that's shared with us, everything that we are exposed to feeds that philosophy that if you spend more money, you'll be happy, or if you have this new thing, you'll be happy, or if you do this or whatever, where the money goes out instead of it just staying in, growing within your portfolio, etc. So the overall philosophy of the country is towards consumerism and through consumption. And so that's like one of the first obstacles that a person has to address and overcome, really, is which one of the national philosophies, there you go, that's a proper word that I'm looking for, which one of like the national philosophies, the philosophies that, and it could also be cultural, that were passed down to you. I'm half Jewish, half Muslim, and I'm Persian, right? And so the philosophies that were passed down to me in regards to wealth and the maintenance and development of wealth were different, right? My dad was a spender. He couldn't hold on to a nickel to, save his life. My mom was a heavy saver, and she believed that saving and investing was the key to financial success, was the key to financial freedom, which I think it is. But then it comes to the point, well, and this is why I really wanted to bring up the part of the intellectual and the spiritual wealth and all these things, because everybody has an inner child within them that you're busting your ass, you're making all this money, and your inner child eventually is going to get burned out, and it's going to ask for some of that money to be spent on you, for you to be able to enjoy your money. And if you're and this was something that I was stuck with for a very, very long time, that I was just saving, I was investing, I wasn't spending any of it. And I had this really big scarcity mindset around it, that if I touch this money, it's going to be gone and I'm going to be broke again. And I don't want to be broke again. And it was just this whole internal struggle, this like really tough battle of, okay, well, you can enjoy some of it. Like you can spend some of this money. You don't have to spend all of it, obviously, but you should be able to enjoy some of it so that you can feed your spirit. You can feed those emotions. Because what is all of this work for? Why are we busting all of our asses for? Why is everybody,
Exactly.
seriously, like, what are you doing all of this for if you're not going to enjoy it? If you're not going to actually use it?
And also enjoying your money, it's possible. Enjoying your money is possible if you divest it correctly. So if someone doesn't know, Arman, if someone doesn't know where to invest it, but they have the urge to invest that money, how would they? Where should they start? And I want to ask you that because I know you're going to dive into that. And if we go into the intellectual part of it, about the child in you investing the money or spending the money, yeah. If you're not going to be able to have extra money to spend, that child in you is going to be very resentful of you, and your entire life path will be thrown off course.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so, I mean, it depends on where you're coming in from, right? It depends on what level you're entering the game at. So if you have $100 to save or invest, it's very different advice that I would give you versus the person who had 100,000. So excuse me. So the idea isn't necessarily what specific tactic are you going to be using for your investment. It's, do you have the belief system? Do you have the philosophy of investing? Do you have that even ingrained in you in any way? Do you, even if I told you, a million different places to invest, if you're not just taking 10% and putting in your savings account right now, that you're not touching that 10%, there's literally, it's as if that money doesn't even exist anymore and it's just sitting in your savings account or your money market or something. If you're not doing that right now, it's going to be tough to sell you on the idea of, all right, why don't you put this 10% inside a mutual fund? Why don't you put this 10% in crypto? Why don't you put this 10% in yourself and develop your own skills and your own business? Why don't you invest this 10% versus
What?
just saving it? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, exactly, because of misinformation and being misled and
Correct.
having no
Yeah.
idea about where to put that money.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, I have that 100. I never saved a dollar. I'll tell you that. Not even till today, I don't save a dollar, except for when I bought that financial product that I'm paying monthly into now. I just started it actually, but I personally don't even still take a dollar and put it away if it's not going to be forced upon me. Does that make sense? And
Yeah, absolutely.
that's because I've had this lifestyle of not saving, and
Yeah.
so I'm 37 almost. Like, imagine, like, let's say half of my life I've been making money, and I've never saved a dollar in my life. It's just
Yeah.
never been in my MO. But that's because I come from like parents who had who had created wealth for themselves, and
Yeah.
all I was doing was going to school, and I mean, I did my work, I did my part-time job, but it's never like a scarcity for money, so I never felt like I had to save it. So
Sure.
that's where I'm coming from. That's the background I'm coming from. So for someone like me who did come from it and doesn't know how to like really save it, that's a mindset problem, more than it
Yeah.
is just like an information. It's an information deficit and a mindset problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so I understand where you're coming from. I agree with that. There was a budgeting system that I took on pretty early in my career, where I really just kind of took it based on the numbers that were given to me, and I was like, you know what, I can do something simple like this. And for whoever is going to end up watching this on Zoom, I drew it with my chicken scratch writing on the screen right now, and I broke down for you. But if you're not on Zoom, or if you're not going to be able to watch this on Zoom, if you have a pen and paper in front of you, or if you just want to open up your text editor on your phone or something, then I can give you these numbers. And it's really simple. It's very basic. It's something that I really believe that everybody can do. And it just depends on, the specifics of your financial situation. But let's say you make 100% of income. So let's say you make $100. Okay, for a very, very basic, simple example, you make $100 of income. You want to take 55% of that and you want to dedicate it towards your bills and your necessities. So you got to keep the roof over your head. You got to, keep the lights on. You got to keep the water running, and you got to keep, stomachs full, all that stuff. So it's like these necessities that are absolutely required to life, that you got to make sure that you take care of. And 55% of that goes to that. Okay. 10% immediately, the first 10% goes into your financial freedom account. Your financial freedom account is the nest egg account. It could be anything like an indexed annuity. It could be anything like an IUL that's completely tax free, that you get to create essentially your own pension if you wanted to. Or if you want, you could also do like a Roth IRA or a mutual fund. I really don't care, as long as you just take that 10% and you put it inside an account that actually works for you and it actually grows for you, and you don't touch this money ever, no matter what. You don't own this money anymore. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to your bank that's operated by your alter ego or something like this. But you don't touch this money for any reason whatsoever at all, unless you are 55 years old, 60 years old, or whatever your retirement age is that you've told yourself, and then you want to start living on that money. That's the time that you touch this money. So the first 10% that goes into the financial freedom account, you don't touch this money, period. Okay. Then you have your next 10%, which goes into the long-term savings for spending. So if you want to buy a car, for example, I would much rather you pay for the car in cash and get a discount than finance the car, pay interest on it, and end up paying more than the actual value of the damn thing. And in a lot of cases too, if you are saving it, even if it's inside a stupid little money market account or something, even if you're saving inside a little savings account, whatever it is, if you're saving, if you're putting it in a long-term savings for spending, you will have earned interest on that purchase when everybody else is financing it and paying interest. So it's a really important subtle differentiator that I guess isn't so subtle, that instead of paying for the whole thing through financing and paying interest and paying even more than it's worth, you save that money, whatever those payments were that you were going to put on that car, you take that money, you take those payments, and you put it inside a savings account and you let it stack on top of itself until you have enough to buy that TV, you have enough to buy the car, you have enough to make the major purchase if you want to go to a vacation or something like this, you have enough to actually do something like that. Do you have a question?
I do have a question about that. So what, let's just dive into it. You know, like I don't
Sure.
want to. Let's dive into it.
Sure, go
Where
ahead.
should they actually be investing their money? Because like the savings accounts are owned by banks, money market accounts are owned by banks, and yeah, that's the
Mm-hmm.
first step of financial knowledge. Yeah, that we have
Mm-hmm.
by people who manipulate their own marketing and pay you like nickels for the money that
Sure.
you invest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they reap the benefit of it. So, fuck banks. It's past
Yeah.
banks now. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Bleep that out if you have to. But
Yeah, no, you're fine.
let's really talk about the products that work, and let's plug this in already, because I feel like people need to know. It's just
Yeah.
too long coming. So let's do it, Arman. Dive into
Sure,
it. What
sure,
do they
sure.
really need to put their money into?
So I'm gonna give you the rest of these breakdowns and then I'll dive into the investment side of it. So after your long-term savings for spending, the other 10% goes into the play account. This is usually my client's favorite account. You have to blow this money. So I don't care if it's monthly, I don't care if it's quarterly, but 10% of your income goes inside a play account and you treat yourself like royalty. And the example that I give people is if you had the option of renting a little rowboat or like a little motorboat or something for 30 days versus renting a yacht for 30 minutes, I would much prefer you rent the yacht for 30 minutes because I want you to know what it feels like to live that kind of a lifestyle. I want you to know what it feels like to be treated like the world class because it goes within the cells of your body. And it's something that once you actually get used to it, then obviously you'll end up attracting more and more success and more money to you. So it's very important that you actually spend 10% of that on play, on something that you'll actually enjoy. And it has nothing to do with work. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's literally something that you're just doing to enjoy. The other 10%, another 10% goes into your education fund. This is anything like books, anything like seminars, higher education, anything after your formal schooling of coming out of college or coming out of university, whatever that may be, you dedicate 10% to the betterment and the development of your skill sets and you as a holistic person. And the last 5% is your give account. It's your charity account, your tithing. If you're religious and you go to church or you go to any kind of a religious institution, 5% is given away. And again, this is one of those things. It's like the way that this has been broken down is so that you address every single part of your humanity. So your inner child gets addressed by the play account, right? Your adult that's worried about everything gets addressed by the financial freedom account or the long-term savings account. The part of you that's just yearning for growth and development gets fed by the education account. And then the part of you that just believes that you should be a good human being and you should give to others gets taken care of by the give account. So the breakdown of this budgeting system is meant to take care of you holistically, and it's meant to actually really provide financial security and financial freedom to you. Now, getting into the topic that Narina asked specifically. So there's something called BOLI and there's something called COLI. So BOLI is bank owned life insurance, and then COLI is corporate owned life insurance. And so, why life insurance when we're talking about the idea of investing, right? So, there's something called a max funded cash value insurance policy, and it operates based on an index of the market. So, if you have, as an example, and I'll do this again, I'll do this on our Zoom for the people that are going to end up watching it. So let's say this is kind of like the market performance right here. Okay, I just basically drew a squiggly red line that represents the market, and then you have the index, which allows you to participate in the gains of the market, but you don't get as much as the market itself did. So if the market gets 20%, then you would get, let's say, 15% or 10%. So you participate in the gains of it. You don't get the full thing. The, let's say, Fidelity being the company that you opened your account with, Fidelity would keep that remaining 5%. They would keep that remaining 10% because they have to be able to afford the downturns of the market. And so when the market crashes, which is, it always does, the market will eventually always, every 5 to 7 to 10 years, it always either crashes or it corrects itself. So when that happens, you don't want to participate in that loss. And this is called the rule of zero, right? And so you flatline at zero. So let's say you gained your 10% when the market went up. That 10% that you gained, you keep it now, and it belongs to you. That becomes your new principal balance. And while the market is in the negative, you're just at zero. It's called the rule of zero. So you're not gaining anything, but you're not losing anything. And you're keeping that original principal that was there along with the interest that you gained, right? And then when the market picks back up and it goes back from wherever it dropped from, then you continue to gain in the performance of the market. And so the same thing happens every time that another crash happens and then another crash happens. And then you get to participate in the gains of the market without actually participating in any of the losses. This is called an index. This was something that was developed in 1995. It was developed by Congress for Congress. It was developed by politicians for themselves. And before they made it available to the consumer public, they put limitations on it, right? So before they made that availability to us, they stuffed all their own money into it. They got all of their tax advantages. They got legal precedent for them to not pay any capital gains, to not pay any estate taxes, to not pay any income taxes on that money, and actually get to use that money however they see fit. And then they said, okay, this might be a good idea to share with the world too. So they made it available to us, but they said, all right, now you have a limit. You can't put more than so and so amount on this, and that so and so amount will, it varies just based on the type of account that you're opening, who you are as a person, where your budget is, if you're trying to make catch-up contributions. There's a lot of different things that change how much you can actually put into one of these accounts. But the point essentially is that they did put limits on us so that we can't legally launder all of our money if we wanted to, because this is pretty much legal money laundering is what we're doing.
So I want to touch on that because, like, you give a lot of information, and for some people who are new to the financial world, just wanted to let you know they might not be able to follow, or maybe they're following perfectly. Who knows? But
Sure.
essentially, what you're saying is that the way to earn money tax free is to buy, or is to invest in a death benefit product or a life insurance product that
Sure.
has maybe like that has money that's being accrued, and it's being accrued tax free because the IRS has a loophole. The IRS has a code that allows that to happen.
Yes, so there's a series of IRS tax codes that waive the interest that is earned inside an insurance policy. They waive the money that you use within that policy. And really, if you think about it, it's actually kind of common sense that the way that they've structured it. If I get a life insurance policy on myself, in the eyes of the IRS, something has to happen to me in order for that money to be paid out. So it's a life insurance policy on my life, right? But insurance companies became really clever, and they're like, okay, and it was mainly because consumers were complaining for such a long time that they're like, okay, well, we want some kind of a better option than what you're giving us right now. And so then came out the IUL, which was a follow-up of the VUL. VUL was variable universal life. It was invested directly into the stock market. A lot of people did lose money because around the time that it became popularized was when the 2007, 2008 market crash happened. So the variable universal life wasn't very well received, but the index universal life was immediately right after it was rolled out, and it was one of the best received financial strategies, financial products that exist today. And so the way that that works is that whatever cash I put into this, again, the IRS thinks that it's just all part of this life insurance policy. So technically, it doesn't even belong to me. So that cash is going to grow tax free. It's going to, the money that went into it, depending on where it came from, that could also be tax deferred on the income. If the business, if you're a sole proprietor, if you're an independent contractor or a business owner, if you're paying the premiums of this insurance policy from your business accounts and the business ends up being the payer of this, then that even becomes a tax write-off and expense for the business because you're the key person or you're the executive that is being insured so that the business can survive if something were to happen to you, so on and so forth. So you literally get to feed the life insurance policy and the assets of the life insurance policy through the business account and give yourself extra tax incentives that way. But once this money ends up growing, because it grows based on the index that reflects either off of the S&P 500.
So hold on, I'm so sorry to stop you. Does
Sure.
anyone know what he's talking about? Raise your hand. I'm sorry, Emma. You have to understand that maybe we're teaching a group full of people who have no idea what the hell variable, universal, index, all of this means, So
Sure.
I want you to slow it down a little, because then I don't want to lose their interest.
Well, I
Because
mean, so I'll say this, that if there is something that you guys need clarified, please do raise your hands, because I don't want it to seem like I'm just trying to talk at you. And I do want it to be interactive, and I do want people to get their questions answered and gain clarity from this. The whole reason why we're even doing these talks is to actually provide value and provide clarity. So if there are any things that I need to clarify, please raise your hand. Please ask questions. There is no such thing as a stupid question here. We are more than welcoming with anything that you guys want to learn.
so I just invited all my girls to speak. Go
Okay.
ahead and take the invite, everyone. But they'll be able to ask questions while, and so they won't feel like they're interrupting or whatnot.
There we go.
You guys are so polite. Louisa, I see you got up on stage. By the way, I want to address these women. Louisa is a DJ, and she's
Sweet.
also a graphic designer. She'll correct me if I left anything out. Zanti, I just met, but she seems like an awesome woman. We'll get to know her more. Christine has a show called Candid Coffee, so she's an artist as well.
Nice.
Tiffany is also a social media socialite. How can I say this? You're a celebrity, So I don't know what you personally do on the side, but it doesn't even matter, because your image on social media is just, you. She's a personal brand. So
Okay.
what I'm trying to say here is that these women are relying on themselves for income, and these women are doing arts.
Yeah.
There's nobody. They're not hired by anybody to do any of these things for anyone. They do it for themselves, and they build their personal brand. And do these women have protection when they're older? Financially, if they don't necessarily start investing their money today? Because is there going to be a 401k waiting for them at the end of their arts career?
Well, I mean, so the answer is no. 401ks are offered through companies that you work for. They're not really even the best strategies anyway. They were designed to help the corporation versus the employee. So, but I mean, to really address the root of your question, the core of your question, if you are a business owner, if you're an independent artist, whatever that may be for you, whatever that title is for you, your financial future is your responsibility. And I don't want it to sound like it's kind of like a scary thing or whatever it may be. It is responsibility, sure, but it is also something that you can figure out. So if you tell me that, for example, Louisa is an artist, right? She's a graphic designer, let's say. There is something happening in the world of digital art, and this is an entire conversation all in itself. So I don't want to get into this too deeply, because it really is like a whole other conversation. But there's something called an NFT, which is a non-fungible token that gets attached to digital art through the cryptocurrency blockchain for Ethereum. And really, basically, what that means is that when your token from your wallet, from your account, gets attached to your piece of digital art, it verifies that piece of digital art as a one-off, as a single piece that you've created. And very similar to a piece of physical art, no matter who promotes that piece, no matter who screenshots it and shares it with the world, doesn't really matter. The value of your original piece keeps going up. And then you can list it on an online auction website like Foundation or something like that, where NFTs are actually bid upon, and you can sell your digital piece of art for one Ethereum coin, two, three Ethereum coins. Doesn't really matter. Right now, the value of Ethereum coins are around, I think, like $1,500, $1,600. And so you could literally be selling digital art for $1,000 a pop, for $2,000 a pop. There are certain stories and situations where their digital pieces of art sold for $1 million, $1.5 million. And this is recent. This is not something that was, a fad at one point and it went away. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then in the recent last 6 months, it got so big that it grabbed a lot of attention from a lot of different people and is now one of the biggest opportunities for artists to make money off of their art. So if I'm Louisa and I have a stockpile of art, I would do this and then I would stack this money and I would put it inside an index universal life or an index annuity. And then that way, no matter what happens with the markets, no matter what happens with global commerce or the global economy, your money is secured. You have actually a nest egg that you're saving for your future. And if you just front load it, like you upfront deposit, I don't know, 20,000, 30, $40,000 into it, depending on how old you are. If you if you front load a certain amount of money into this account, then you're allowing time to be on your side and it'll accrue interest faster, right? So $1,000 accrues less interest on it than 100,000 would if they both started at the same time, just based on that 10% on 1,000 versus 10% on 100,000. It's just, it makes simple math. It makes sense, right? So depending on what you do for your skill or for your trade, depending on how consistently your flow of income comes in. I personally like a more consistent flow of income because I think it's a little bit more reliable. But I know a lot of people who work commission-based jobs, who work, and I mean, I'm in a commission-based business, but we're in financial services, so it allows us to build residuals so that we actually have a flow of income that's coming in instead of being more transactional based. So, but there are artists, for example, artists are commission based literally on that one piece that they make, or, just think about it in any sales type of an environment, any sales type of a business. There is that concept of how consistent is this income that's coming in. And if it's not consistent, then your job would be to try to figure out some kind of consistency to it. And that in itself is another conversation as well. But it is something that I wrote down in my notes that I wanted to address in today's talk with you guys, was this idea of, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
No, just this idea of developing consistency through your income, so the cash flow that's coming in, so that you can actually make better financial decisions based on a more proven and consistent flow. So that's basically
And
it.
so if no one knows how to develop that consistency because you don't have the practice for it, there's no shame in it. Contact somebody who does, and
Yeah.
they'll be glad to guide you. Like that's
Yeah.
what they do for a living. So Arman has been in the industry for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
I just recently did a Bad Moms live with him. Bad Moms is a show that I do on Mondays and Wednesdays. So we talk about everything. So whatever, you can see it on my IG, but that's on Narsmart. Anyway, contact Arman. Also, I'm in the business to contact me. I'd love to help you out as well. I know I'm like wearing a million hats. Everyone looks at me and says, what the hell is this girl doing?
Yeah.
I do everything, and it's cool.
You're a polymath. We call you polymath. They used to say Jack or Jane of all trades, but I like the term polymath more because it means you're well read into multiple topics. I do want to give Louisa the opportunity to actually speak. So if you would be kind enough to unmute yourself and give us your question or your comment, whatever it is that you want to share with us.
Hey, Arman. Hey, Narnajan.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to meet Arman on here.
Very pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Everything.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I actually do have a very, very small background of all the information that you just put out there to everybody, for everybody else to hear.
Cool.
But I've fallen back out of that scene, I want to say, maybe out of that profession a long time ago. But I feel like it's very, very important now, and I feel like it's the only, one of the only ones that can give you the knowledge that you need for, being able to handle your money better. And I feel like I haven't been able to handle my money the best this maybe past couple of years. Okay. But I really need to I know I need to put my head down, write a goal, write a plan, and really just, invest in the right places, play around with whatever I can play around with, and just, you know, because my career, both of my career paths took a loss this past year, and it really hit me.
Yeah.
Even just not like I'm not a big corporation or anything like that, but you know, you still take a loss. I took a loss. So.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Louisa, do you have a specific question for? Do you have a specific question for Arman that he can answer right now for like your financial, like what, like I love what he said about the digital art. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. Like I looked at him more about that. You should definitely look into it more, or contact him and see how he can guide you through it, and maybe start taking that money and investing back into yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I'll definitely will. Yeah.
Louisa,
Thanks so much.
Can I share with you? Can I share something with you, Louisa? So I'm actually an artist at heart. I sketch using chalk and pencil. I make music. I love the world of creative. When I originally started my career, out of high school, I went to med school, and I realized very, very quickly that I didn't want to be in school for another 12 years, go into debt $500,000, and then come out and make six figures, I guess, which not a lot of doctors actually out of residency make six figures anyways. But that was kind of the plan that was laid out for me by my mom, because I'm Persian, right? And so if you're not a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, they look at you as if you're a failure. And so it was a tough thing for me early on to say, you know what, I don't want to do this, and I want to go and learn something about money and finance and business and things like that. And I became a teller at a bank early on. And that was like one of the most crucial points in my life, because that was the time that I could have said, I'm going to go full time into music. I was DJing at the time. We were doing, at that time, we were like $1,500 a party, which was a big deal for DJs, because there weren't that very many DJs that were around. And there was a part of me that I was like, if I went into music production, I could probably become like a really dope DJ or like a really dope producer or something. But there was this one voice in my mind that was like, you know what? That's not practical. It's not guaranteed. You don't know what you're going to make. Bankers right now, and this was before 2008, the crash, bankers were making 100,000 a year. The bank manager was making like 130, 140. He was showing up 11 o'clock. He was leaving at 3 o'clock. We were still there from 8 to freaking 5, 6 o'clock. I was like, okay, I'm going to do what this guy's doing. And he's not even working that hard. So I worked my way up the corporate ladder. And by the time that I became a branch manager, the market crashed, and branch managers went from earning 140 to like 50, 60. And I was like, okay, you know what, screw this. And then I got deeper into finance, and I went into the broker business, and I went across the board, and yada, yada, yada. Fast forward, it's now 15 years later. And there are times that I catch myself, I'm like, man, you know what? The security that came from this industry is great. I'm not doubting that in any way. It's one of the strongest industries in the world. It's literally the biggest industry. Financial services is like the game of money, right? And so it was the biggest industry. So that part, I was like, okay, this is cool. I appreciate the security that comes from this. But there's a part of me that I really want to create things, and I want to feed that part of me. But because of the fact that I dedicated the first portion, or some years, to making sure that I was just foundationally strong financially, it allows me to go ahead and live the dreams that I want to live, and actually do the things that I want to do. Now, I'm not in any way saying that this is late for anybody to do, because practicality is something that's very important. Like, you need to be practical when it comes down to your money and your lifestyle in general. If you can live off of $2,000 a month, then it doesn't take a lot of money for you to actually be comfortable. But some people can't live on $2,000 a month. They need $5,000 a month. So depending on what that number is for you, then it may take a little bit or a lot of bit, whatever. It may take some work to put you in a situation where you can actually comfortably be like, all right, my bills are paid. Now let me focus on the creative. Now let me focus on this side of things. So here's my offer to you. I'm not telling you to go get a job at a bank right now. But what I am saying is this: figure out, and if you want, I'd be more than happy to like do a one-on-one session with you on this, or whoever is interested in this topic anyway. but figure out what the best way, the fastest way is for you to stack up a good portion of cash that at least 6 months to 12 months of your expenses are taken care of. And once you have that breathing room, then you can navigate for the next 5 years and you can make moves that are actually going to be viable long term. Because if all you're worried about, how am I going to pay the bill at the end of this month? And by the way, when the pandemic happened, it hit everybody. It hit me, it hit everybody in my family, everybody in our business. We had to completely pivot 100%. We used to be in the office like every single day, multiple times a week. We would have events and meetings for all of our agents to come in. All of that had to stop because we couldn't even go to the office anymore. We had to make a pivot to do everything through Zoom and to do conversations digitally and remotely and things like that. And so it hit everybody. But the one thing that I can say is thankfully, and this is, you know, it's a humble brag. Okay. It's like a humble brag. I'm kind of like tooting my own horn in a way. But our industry, because of the fact that we deal with that index account that I mentioned to you guys, that anytime that the market crash and it goes negative, none of our clients lost any money during the pandemic crash. And so a single penny, nobody lost a single penny out of all of our clients, out of the thousands of clients that are within our company. Not a single person lost a penny during the crash of 2020 or any crash before that or any crash after that. And it's because of the fact that that strategy is so strong, that account is so strong, that we actually got more business during the pandemic because of a bad market. So that helped, right? So these kinds of moves help. So Luisa, if you have a background in finance, it's not that many more steps for you to just kind of get reacquainted with it and maybe land yourself a client here or there and just save the money, right? Because finance pays pretty good money. And as long as you're not spending it on, I don't know, what your vices are or whatever you would end up spending your money on, but it's like, as long as you're being disciplined around it, and as long as you're actually saving some of that money, then you'll be good to make the moves that you want to make, right? Another one was the NFT thing. The NFT thing is a little bit more complicated to figure out than the finance thing, because the finance thing is literally you just go and you do a course and you get licensed with your state. It's like a 30-hour course. You get your license. It's a multiple choice question, and then you're in the business. NFTs, first off, you got to figure out how they actually work. Then you got to get yourself the wallet. Then you got to buy the cryptocurrency. Then you got to find an exchange that you can actually list your auctions on, and then hopefully, if the art itself is good enough, then people will bid on it and you'll make money from it. And I think you should do that too, by the way. I just think that it's a little bit tougher to get going than just passing a test. So that's my humble opinion. It's up to you, whatever you want to do with it. But the main point that comes down from this long-winded ass answer that I just gave you is you got to figure out how to consistently generate a certain amount of income that you can not only pay your lifestyle with, but you can actually save and put yourself in a situation that if another crash happens, if another pandemic happens, if another quarantine happens, if anything even remotely close to what happened that last year happens, then you'll actually get yourself to a position that you're secure. So we have Christine now, and I hope that Christine also has a question for us. But before we move on, Luisa, does that answer anything for you? Does that help you in any way? And do you want to, maybe if we want, we can also do a follow-up call on this as well. Luisa, talk to me. Tell me.
Yeah, sorry, I'm driving. Yeah, no, that was pretty helpful. I got my wheels turning for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Let me know if you have any questions.
Drive safely, Louisa, John.
Yeah, please drive safe.
Thank you. Love you. And by the way.
Yes.
What?
Norina just lost. We just lost you. After, by the way, we didn't hear anything.
Well, then I'll pass. Damn it. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, sometimes technology works not in our favor. But I was saying, Louisa is the DJ.
Yeah.
For the second annual Women Move Mountains event that is hosted by my friend Christine.
Nice.
This is the second annual one, and it's going to happen June 12th, I believe.
Nice.
So, yeah, Christine, take it from there.
Christine with the killer smile. Okay, tell us, Christine, what you got over here?
Thank you. I knew you guys. Hi, Arman.
Hello.
He's very cute. intelligence is what's attractive, definitely.
Absolutely. Yes. Talk to us. What's going on?
And they're always promoting and helping me grow. So I appreciate that so much. I always try to reciprocate that as much as I can. And I just want to kind of pick your brain about what I can do with the YouTube channel that I have. The subscribers are very low. I'm trying to get a Patreon account to help me with the videos that I create and the content that I create. They're pretty like solid episodes. They're like 30 to 40-minute long episodes of the Armenians in our community here in Los Angeles and abroad. And I do ask whoever is being interviewed if they could pay for their episode, or if they can find a sponsor to like advertise something on my show. For example, if they have a bakery, or if they have a law firm, or if they have whatever business that they have and they want to promote it on the show. It would be just like any other talk show where there's commercial breaks and things like that. So it's been a very big project. It's been a blessing. I love my career. The money comes and goes. The sponsorships come and go. It's not consistent, but whatever I get, I'm very thankful for. I just want to have that consistency, and I want to do something that's going to make me, like you said, have that constant income for the lifestyle that I would like to have. I mean, nothing too extravagant, but just, keep the lights on in the house would be nice.
Sure. Yeah.
So just at least very minimal right now, and then help grow.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I do an episode called Tactical Tuesdays, and this would be like the perfect scenario for that. But I would like to see if there's any way that I can help right now. I'm gonna ask you a few questions if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So how many subscribers do you have now?
Like 280 or 285, something like that.
And then how many episodes do you do per week?
I only do 2 episodes, maybe 3 a month.
So 2 to 3 per month is what you do. And then
Correct, yeah.
how long is each episode? It's like a full-on episode, right? Like a talk show?
Yes, it's about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the topic.
And who's your editor?
Like this. Oh, okay. My editor is a gentleman named Adam. He's been in film production for many years.
Are you paying for editing?
Yes, filming and editing he does together. I pay him for that.
Okay, can you somehow work a deal with him that every time he does the editing for you, he can make you 5, maybe 10 pieces that will go on social media? And it's really just like sound bites from the interview, so it's nothing too crazy if he's like limited on time, or if you don't want to pay him too much extra or something like that. But we need something outside of YouTube or wherever you're posting these videos to be able to drive traffic to the videos, and usually sound bites help a lot. So do you think that's possible?
Yes, I forgot to mention that on my Instagram and Facebook, mostly Instagram, has lots of trailers of previous guests, and I put it on my stories, and I help promote it, and the links are in my bio. And every time there's a new episode, I say, hey, there's a new episode, the link is in my bio. I'll put little snippets of it. Even, episodes from like 2 seasons ago, like Naughty Night was on my show as well. Several amazing people that are very eye-catching, that will have like a 1-minute trailer that will catch people's eye, and it'll direct them to the YouTube. So I don't do very many things that are like TikTok or comical or things like that. I do stuff in fashion, and we do have some bloopers that makes it very lighthearted and fun. But it's more serious. We're talking about a lot of different topics that are serious.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So, okay. So, how often do you look at your analytics?
Like the traffic that comes in? What is that?
Don't mute yourself yet, because I have like still a bunch of questions for you. So, analytics is basically the performance of each of your videos on YouTube, as well as the performance of your posts on Facebook or Instagram, things like that. It shows you how many people viewed a certain video, how long they watched it for, if they interacted, etc. Do you view that information? Do you look at that stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Instagram has that option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do check it sometimes to see the views and how much, people have, liked it. Of course, the views are always much more than the actual likes.
Okay, sure.
I don't know why, but that's how it is.
Yeah, of course.
And also, I get a report from YouTube like, hey, Chris, this was your monthly views. This is how many people watched a compilation of things in one month.
Right.
They'll break it down like that, and of course, the views you can see it on every episode on the left. So it's just it's a work in progress. I don't have a niche market. That's the thing I'm on. Like I can't say like I have only teenagers or only young kids, young adults from 20 to 30 or millennials or whatever it is, boomers
Sure,
or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different types of people coming on the show talking about psychology, talking about their business or their philanthropy or whatever it may be. So it's really actually great. I like that it doesn't have a niche market because there's something there for everybody. It's just people have to kind of open their eyes and be a little bit more receptive, maybe like let go of Netflix for 10-15 minutes and then like watch me instead.
Yeah. So the reason why I was asking, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're okay.
The reason why I was asking, because I also do want to like actually give you some kind of a like real result, and we're on the last few minutes on the episode. So if you it might be a little tough to see how many episodes do you have in total that are up right now?
Let's see, like 9, 18, I would say like 20, 22, something like that.
Okay, so that's perfect. So out of the 20, let's say, if we can find, let's say, the top 3 viewed and the top 3 interacted with videos, then it'll give you a general idea of what your audience leans towards more. So if you were to try to niche down a little bit, you can get the feedback from the actual viewership and from the response of the audience to see what topics could be focused on. I will say that you need to do more. So 2 episodes, 3 episodes a month. I don't know what your time availability is like. Yeah, so it's.
I would love to do more. It's what's holding me back is the money that goes into production, and the people who are like, yeah, let's get the ball rolling. Let's go chop chop. Let's set something up. Like for example, I was going to have this really amazing episode with this place called Splatterhouse, and they were supposed to do it last Monday or like a couple days ago, the day before yesterday, Monday, and people sometimes cancel it or they have to reschedule or they say, whatever it may be. And that's fine, life happens. But I need consistent people coming on and I need consistent money to pay for the production cost, which I totally like. Autumn is a gem. Like he's my boy. He understands what I need. He does a very good job. He's very professional, but like he has 3 kids. He has a wife. He has he has to pay for shit. And he also works 2 other jobs, one as a wedding videographer and the other one working full-time at a church. So I'm technically his 3rd job.
Sure. Okay. So what is the...
Not that I'm trying to say that he's not doing it like efficiently. He does.
Yeah, no, I got you. I didn't take that at all. What is the likelihood or the possibility of you yourself, by yourself, doing like a cell phone video for 3 to 5 minutes on a topic that you might be passionate about? Could you do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I do little videos on my stories, but I can maybe do something a little bit longer and put it on my feed.
Yes. So we wanted to be able to live on YouTube, and we wanted to be able to live on Facebook Watch or Vimeo, these places that allow people to discover you and actually search for you, things like that. And obviously, like the feed on Instagram, it lives there. A reel I would do more frequently than I would do Instagram stories, because reels also have a place to live and they allow you to be discovered. And so the idea here is to put out
Yes.
as many fishing poles as possible, or as many nets as possible, to be able to grab viewers from any and all walks of life. And if you are limited to
Yes.
guests coming on your show, then it's going to limit you on how frequently you can actually put out content. And so
That's true. Yeah.
the main
Yeah.
reason why I
Because I'm
asked,
relying on that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a great model, by the way. I don't think it's a bad model at all, because you get, obviously you get more influential content because you're interviewing somebody else, but if they have an audience, you get to leverage their audience as well. So it's a great model. I think it's a beautiful thing that
Correct.
you're doing. You just need to
Thank
post
you.
more frequently. And that's what YouTube
Yeah.
looks for. Like,
Yeah, I know.
so that's
Honestly, like I even hold back on posting on Instagram because I'm like, first of all, I was shadow banned, and second of all, even if I wasn't shadow banned, I try to be a little modest with it because it's like, oh, people are just gonna start swiping away and not really pay attention because I feel like too much stuff is too much, too little is not enough.
well, that's
I
not a
don't know.
bad thing.
I have to.
That's
Yeah.
not bad per se. I will tell you this right now, that if you, so you can filter out all the people that aren't going to be like diehard fans by posting more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ones who say, okay, well, I don't want to watch this anymore because she posts too much, they've just filtered themselves out. But for every one person or two people that say that, there's also another group of people that can't wait to get your next post. So you're trying to figure out who these diehards are. You're trying to figure out who these people are that will ride with you
Yeah.
for another 10, 20 years, because that's where the money's at. Those are the people that are going to end up taking action when you tell them click on the link to go to our shop. Those are the people that are going to take action when you promote anything else across your platforms, and you're catering to them. So don't worry about the people who troll, don't worry about haters, anybody who unsubscribes, or like, don't worry about any of that stuff, because they really like literally they're irrelevant. They mean nothing to you in the long-term scope of your business. Because if you're trying to build a brand, you're trying to build this channel, and you're doing everything that you're doing, do it for the fans. There's could be
Yeah.
50 people out of your 260. It could be 50 people, and then everybody's like, yeah, 50 isn't a lot though. But it's like, you could fill up a room with 50 people. I could fill up a small theater with 50 people. And if you were
Right.
standing in front of those 50 people, you wouldn't take them for granted. But because of the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it's only numbers that's on a video on YouTube, they're like, oh, well, it's not a million. It's like, yeah, but it's still 50 people who are watching every word that you're saying. So it's like, it's really important to cherish those people and actually do everything for those group of people. And then
Yes.
they will listen to you no matter what, because they're probably subscribed to the channel because you're the host. And okay, yeah, you put guests on, but they're more so following your lead, and so they don't mind hearing from you directly. Even Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, they still have their monologues and they still have their one-off pieces and all these things that they're doing. So you could easily do that. 3 to 5 minute pieces are very easy to pull off, and you don't need any editing. You literally just do a cell phone video and you upload it immediately into YouTube, and just let it live there. The information will do the value itself. Production value is one thing, but the information is really what most people are actually really into, you know?
Yes.
Armand, that was amazing information, and I'm sure Christine is going to reap the benefits of it as soon as she starts implementing. Right, Christine?
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna think of some good ideas because this conversation came at a good time. I just started the third season. I wanted to do something different, something new, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're always supposed to, have something more exciting than you did before. I just followed you on Instagram, Arman. The
Awesome.
one
Thanks.
that's linked here. We
Very
can
cool.
definitely
Awesome.
continue this conversation.
Sure.
And I can't wait for you to see like Zartonk Media that's going to be coming up today. Pretty much, I'm gonna have the trailer ready today. They're a huge, like they're just a huge powerhouse right now. So if you happen to watch an episode, let me know what you think. I would love
Sure.
constructive criticism.
Sure.
And
Watch my episode.
yeah, watch Naughtiness.
Okay. Sure.
There you
No
go.
problem.
Have two familiar faces.
Candid Coffee, K with a K. Okay, Vincent, yes. You're
So
gonna eat that. Go
Vintage
ahead.
Chris, look at you, you have 12,500 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely leverage the fuck out of this. Excuse my French.
I'm trying, dude. Dude, I can't even link my Instagram onto my bio here on Clubhouse. I've tried so many times. I'm trying.
Arman, we are all technically deficient.
Yeah.
He has a problem with me all the time. He walks me through everything. I'm like, look, dude, sorry, I know I'm slow at this, but we'll help. Arman will help.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm gonna leverage it. I'm very receptive and I'm very keen on those things. So I want to do everything I can while still making great connections, helping my community. It all goes hand in hand. I mean, the war kind of fucked us up a little bit. Sorry, but that's the thing. You said what's my 2 most or 3 most watched videos. One of the most watched videos is the documentary I did on the war, and that was a commonality between everybody because everybody was going through hell at that time, and they wanted something to relate to. Which, by the way, Nadina is on as well. And the other best video I have is from a guy named Gary Chavichian, who's the first Armenian in the NBA.
Okay.
So, and even that.